Let's do this, everyone. Welcome to the Soccerish podcast. Christina Uncle here with the one, the only Lori Lindsay. I think I wear millions of hats. She wears millions of hats. I think we both collectively wear a lot of, practically speaking, hats. We love hats. I just don't have one because I just got my hair done after an entire year. An entire year. And I wasn't trying to grow out my hair like you. So it just happened.
What do you mean an entire year?
An entire year. The hairdresser just told me it's been a year since I've been in.
That doesn't even make any sense.
It doesn't.
Like you literally haven't had your hair cut in a year.
Yes, pretty much. Pretty much. And trust me, the things are dead. But on that note, I am on this happy this happy Thanksgiving episode. I am thankful to David, my hairdresser, who puts up with me, and I've never gone to anyone but him in the past 15 years. So thanks, David, for putting it up. But Lori, one thing off the top, what are you thankful for?
Oh, goodness. Freaking just all the, amazing friends, the lessons in life, everything. I don't know. I'm just like happy to be here. I'm doing I would say everything that I've wanted to do. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel really grateful.
Yeah. I think it was cool when you talked the other episode. Kevin linked that because I don't know how to do that stuff. But when you talked the other episode about going into like strength training and thinking that was your path, and then you found your way into the TV side of the world and how you found fulfillment on that side when you stepped off as a player. I thought that was really cool. So if you haven't seen that, watch that one.
It's always, I feel like this year has illuminated the fact that I'm doing work-wise so many, it all flows to me though. It's just life, right? So many things that I love, but also trying to find, it's not even a balance, but just have more unstructured time. So, so that's always like something I'm looking at, to have more free time to live life.
So with this free time, are you cooking the turkey tomorrow? Who does that at your place?
No, I'm actually going to Kate Scott's tonight for Friendsgiving, which I'm pumped about. The food's already going to be there. And then I am in the morning headed to a Boston area. That's where my family is, majority of my family. So my brother and sister-in-law and their two daughters, my mom's extended family of my sister-in-law's side. So I will not be cooking or doing any of that. No, I'll just be bringing the vibes, hanging out with the family, joking, and just laughing and probably watching some movies and TV and stuff. So yeah, pretty chill.
God, that's amazing. And it's so funny you say vibes, because I was just reading an article from The Athletic, and it was talking about like what does women's sports bring, right? When everyone's talking about impressions in this, and like the title of it was vibes. And I'm like, that's amazing, right? The vibes. Like that's what you bring, and that's what others bring in that game. And I can tell you one thing, those are the vibes I felt about the CBS Championship game. That was something right off the top, right? So like, first of all, shout out to Kate. First time I didn't realize Kate Scott, I was working with her for the first time ever. So like, I know you get the honor of working with her all the time, but it was really cool to see you two in action, be part of it. Matt the Stat, shout out to our statistician between us all. But an incredible experience, incredible game. Outfits were on point. I liked your blue fuzzy thing. I just wanted to like sit there and like pet you.
I got so many compliments or just people giving me shout outs via social media. So that's nice. That video was amazing though. And then the record just came out yesterday. Most watched NWSL match ever. Obviously it's the championship, so that makes it even more special. But yeah, it was good vibes in the stadium. Really great crowd. Obviously we had our studio show that went on for like 90 minutes prior. There's just, handful of former players doing live events, so their podcasts live leading up to it. So it definitely feels like much more of an event now, and it has the past few years too. So it was awesome.
No, I hit it on the head. I think the first NWSL event that I'm like, we are here, we have arrived, right? I think it was the San Diego championship. Like I remember just like the marketing, everything around it, the fan experience. Then Kansas City, I think, kicked that out of the park. And for those who don't know, I'm building a stadium for women's pro soccer in Tampa Bay, and San Jose, I tell people all the time, is pretty much an archetype of what I would love to build. Like you said, the energy is great. The fans are so close to the pitch. One thing interesting was, I think it was like the owner's box. Did you notice that? Like, they were literally carved into the technical areas. Did you look down when you saw that? Like, literally, they could probably...
Super cool, isn't it? Yeah. I've been there
I
a
thought
number
it was
of
cool,
times, or maybe not a number of times, but I've been there a few times. I really like the stadium, how it's set up, and you do feel like an intimate part. Similar to Audi. Have you been to Audi Field, where the suites are kind of right there on that level too? But it is cool. I like the setup.
Yeah, and the catwalk was new for me there at San Jose. Before, we used to walk through the fans, right? And people would be, but that catwalk was pretty cool. So really set up for a good atmosphere. I'm with you on that. Great to see the viewerships on it. Great to have your voice on it. And obviously everything that comes with an incredible game for our domestic league here at NWSL. It's just a great shining moment. I know one thing that obviously was the heart of all conversations. I feel kind of bad beating it up a little bit, but want to take a little bit of a different look at, the Trinity Rodman Crossroads, right? Like everything that's going on with it, right? We know that there's conversations. She's free agent, right? Respect to that. But understanding the business implications of a free agent, how does that work? The salary cap, where does she go? What's in the best interest of her? What's in the best interest of the league? What's in the best interest of pushing soccer forward in the United States? You as a player, how does that feel, knowing from that perspective, the dilemma that she's going through? I think that's the part that no one talks about, is like how she's experiencing the drama that's unfolding.
Yeah, I don't know if she's experiencing this drama because she would have a team of people with her agents around her helping with the decision and just weighing the choices that she has. But I think as a player, when when you're entering a championship, you've been injured because she's had an injury leading up to that, the playoffs, and then being asked about what her decision is going to be. I think it's just as a player, it's, trying to compartmentalize things at once. And it sounded like that's what she was doing, which was just finding ways to say, okay, I'm focused on the playoffs right now. I'm focused on the championship, and then I'll make my decision afterwards or when the time feels right. And so, listen, I think it's an interesting one because as a player and as former players, I've said this before, this is what we fought for, right? To have these choices, to have the opportunities to say, hey, do I want to go overseas? Does that fit? Do I want to stay here in the NWSL? Do I want to play in the Super League here in the States? And so having all these choices is really what we've fought for, and all the generations before and currently now. And so I think for Trinity, it's just, and I believe that she said this after the championship too. She's tired. She just wants to take a little bit of time, collect herself, and then she'll really look into everything. But I trust knowing that as a player, but also for her sake, that she'll just take the time that's needed, make sure that she has all the people around her that makes the most sense. But I personally, I hope she stays. She's exciting. She's relatable. We all know this. She's a generational talent and all the loving, so fun to be around, has the fits, has the vibes, outstanding player, and just wonderful. And you want to, personally and selfishly, I want to be seeing that on a daily and weekly basis, right? So I hope she stays, but I also, that doesn't really matter. It's just about for her making sure that she takes the time and is able to, be in a place to really choose what's best at her at this point in time in her career.
Well, Lori, shout out to you and the others who created this ecosystem and environment that even exists today for all of your guys' fights for equal pay, equal play, an ecosystem that allows it. Because truly, we're really having such an intense conversation about the identity of the league and where it's trending in high football and competing against the world and continuing to, hold that status of having high players. For me, from the GM kind of role that I play, with my team, it's just fascinating, and the appreciation, right? So USL Super League launched last year, right? Some of the parity of the team wasn't there. This year in its second year, the parity of the teams are pretty much across the board. And there is something to say about collective parity for a league, right? That we aren't buying out and one team is just going to roll over everyone because their salary, their salary is just some crazy number. For just heads up, like the USL Super League does not have a salary cap whatsoever on it. So like that's why you see DC Power of the USL Super League, just leaked by the Athletic, Meg and Tom, discussing that they even put in an offer for Trinity. Everyone's like, how is that possible? Well, it's possible because we don't have a salary cap in there. But then right now we have parity in our league, but even as asking that question for us in the Super League is like, hey, are we going to work on collective parity, or are we going to find ourselves being a star-powered entertainment league, to your point, day in and day out? Because that's the TV impressions, right? And for those who are always like, pay the players more, I'm like, yes, follow social media, buy a ticket, buy a piece of merchandise. Like those impressions help with collective partnerships and TV deals that help us pay the player more. And there's one out there that I have been intrigued about and Major League Soccer uses it, right? So the designated player, having a couple of players in your team who are able to go above and beyond the salary cap. To me, from what I've seen from the outside, seeing what Major League Soccer did, oh God, I think it's been like 5 to 6 years now that they've had a DP player, where NWSL is kind of trying to do that balance of entertainment and also collective parity, which I do think is important. What are your thoughts on that DP rule? I think that could help fix some of these pressure points. It won't solve everything, but I think it can help assist.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting one because it doesn't solve everything, and essentially it also creates a hierarchy, right? And so I think that sometimes that is the biggest pushback on having that DP slot. But at the same time, and because having a salary cap essentially does allow you to have more parity, right? That is the whole point, is to, one, keep costs down, but also create parity within the league. And then when you start to have DPs, one, it could create the hierarchy within the team, but also, I'm just I'm like kind of thinking about this in real time. I know it's tough because there's players that occupy big chunks of the salary caps now. And then obviously that lessens the rest of the pool of money for other players. So it's a tough one because you want the parity, or at least I think that's what is a lot of storylines for the NWSL, and that's what makes it exciting. But then also you do want to be able to play players and keep them here and pay them what they're worth. And so I don't know if I have a great answer right now for that, because it's just it's a tough one in terms of managing that. I hope we find ways to increase the salary cap so that we can, because it does sound like across the board, a lot of the clubs in the NWSL specifically would be in favor of that, than able to pay players more. And I think that's more what it is right now, is increase the salary cap, then you can pay players more. Is that a couple players? Maybe, but it also increases the pool for everybody else and still inherently keeps the parity of what we've been looking for. I think that parity will start to kind of fluctuate in general, though, with the more teams that we have, different markets demand different things. So, but increasing the salary cap, I think, would be the best route if clubs are willing. You have any additional thoughts?
Yeah, I would say you increase that salary cap a bit, which you're already doing, right? I think you implement a designated player rule. We understand, I think, if anything, too, that there's certain players that just have that star power, right? We look at MLS.
Is that how you, I'm just going to jump in. Is that how you kind of look at it from the business side, that yes, I understand the hierarchy aspect to it, and trying to eliminate that. But at some point in time, there are stars, right? That you're just going to desire to pay more.
And you're managing a locker room. I like the hierarchy side because people aren't respecting that side of it, right? That's one appreciation I got very much so last year, is managing the mental mindset of your athletes in the locker room. And so if you're like, okay, we got 2 DPs per team, right? Let's just use that number right now. I think the MLS has 3, but like if you got 2 DPs per team, how does that impact the locker room? Them knowing that they're getting paid above the threshold. It just when you walk out in that anthem, and it was something in the referee world, right? There used to be an old boss way back in like the 90s, right? And I can't say his name, but he used to tell us as referees, you're rookies, and you'd all be lined up, and everyone would announce their names back in the day, right? Your name used to be announced, and you'd go and you'd wave, and what we do in college soccer, right? They used to do in professional. And it was like, okay, clap, clap, clap. And then they'd hit someone's name and the whole crowd would roar. And he would turn, he goes, that's the player we have to try to keep into the game, right? Because at the end of the day, and I'm not saying that's right, it wasn't, but in the 90s with Major League Soccer, the focus was on how do we get more eyeballs? How do we get more entertainment? How do we get TV views? How do we get these TV deals? And it's your star players. And with rising, what is it? The rising tide lifts all boats. So like, if you're talking about these star players, these designated players and bringing them into the market that we can't maybe get, right? If we talk about some of the Barcelona players or the Spanish players, bringing them in and you get 2 DPs that can go in it, guess what? All the other players on the hierarchy, those who can't see it might need to reassess their perspective because those are true blockbuster players that sell tickets and sell TV impressions and marketing and focus. So when those people are rising, they get to rise at the same time. So I think that DP helps to create that star powered environment that helps pay for these TV deals that then the leagues are able to then pump into the clubs who are then able to help. And as you said, like, I feel like collectively that the clubs, and not saying any specific club, but collectively the clubs have this thing saying we have the finances now with partnerships, TV deals to pay the bottom line a little bit more. I'm going to add one more wrinkle to it is the NWSL Players Association, right? To your point, everyone wears a different hat, and the NWSL Player Association wears that hat to protect the hierarchy of the players to make sure one person, like I'm just going to use the Magic Jack era, right? One person's not getting paid like $500,000 and one person's getting paid $10,000, right? That's the role of the Players Association. So it's actually 3 different parts of the stool. You talk about the league, you talk about the clubs, and you talk about the Players Association to protect the collective parity of the league, the star power entertainment, and then to add those designated players. And not impact that. So those are my thoughts with my GM hat and watching the leagues and all these things and knowing what's happened in our WPS era too, right? Like how do we learn from history? Because I don't know. I don't think that, you know, that motto where it's like history is meant to be learned so we don't repeat it again. I think that's a lie. I think history is made just so we know what happened in the past so we can try to prevent some things in the future, at least make decisions based on that. But it doesn't prevent everything. Trust me. Way too many things happen that are the same. No. Thanks, Lori, for your thoughts. I mean, I really like that locker room perspective. Those are the ones that people, unless you've played, to be quite honest, you can't fully appreciate the dynamics in that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's an incredibly important aspect of it all too. And, I think the one thing that we do know overall is you and I both, even if we're all coming at it from different viewpoints too. And obviously there are different prongs on how to look at this, but mostly is that the game and everything is evolving rapidly in real time. And to me, it's about staying proactive, right? Staying proactive and saying, okay, how do we continue to have parity? How do we continue? And I'm specifically, obviously you're involved with the Super League, but I'm specifically even just mentioning the NWSL, where Trin is currently playing, but is how do you continue to establish parity? How do you continue to have those storylines, excitement, and also attract the best players? Because eventually, yes, some players are going to want to go and play Champions League. We know how big of a draw that is. Some players are just going to experience playing overseas. It goes back to the choices that we talked about. But then also, some players aren't. It's not really maybe not going to be the draw, right? And I think we have to look at that too. It's not like, oh, all these players are just leaving. No, it is about choice, what feels right for that current time in your career or ever. And some are absolutely going to be playing in the US, regardless of what league, for their entirety of the career, because that is just what best suits them. I think you just have to keep all of those things open-minded, be open-minded that, okay, there's different things that are drawing different players. And the more that we create an environment that one is able to suit star, quote unquote star players or players that demand more money, financial aspect, then the better. And also just continue to increase the overall, which is what we always talk about, environment for all the players involved.
Mm-hmm. No, I just a little bit of more insight into the GM hat. It's so fun and fascinating and such a puzzle now because we are all dealing as GMs with the wild west of players, either American born or international, where people are like, hey, and especially those coming out of college, right? There's some top prospects that we all know who they are, right? And whatnot. And, their comments are like, if I can't make it into NWSL, or maybe I want to get signed by NWSL, but I want to go across seas, or I want to, go here, but be loaned to the Super League, or I want, I want to just, I think the biggest one I've heard is like a lot of people are just like, I want to go experience internationally what the game looks like in Europe.
Yeah.
Right. At their rookie years. So like where we're building these 2 leagues in the US to say, here's a place and a space, some of the players, and I don't judge them in any way, right? Like everyone do, it's like someone telling someone not to do like international studies abroad. Like that's one thing I regret I never did in college was international studies. And I blame it on refereeing for staying in the Americas. But like,
well, it goes back to the refereeing.
Yeah, it goes back to the refereeing. Because if I left for like 6 months, I would have lost my status and my ranking and going to these tournaments. Like, how weird is that? Like, I made an entire life decision on refereeing, but so be it. But this you'll see a lot of movement in this December, this winter window. As we're all trying to figure it out.
Vice versa, right? I think we have to keep in mind, this is why I'm saying create an environment where players want to be here, regardless of what that looks like, is international players are going to want to come here.
Yeah.
Right? And so create those environments and be able to adjust and make decisions that are going to accommodate that for big time players that also want to experience playing here.
Yeah, no, you hit that on the head because right, you think about like the Chawangas, right? There's so many international players who are now we're getting that international flair into our game here. So it's a great big melting pot. There's no right or wrong answer. If anything, there's exciting answers and then bigger strategic plays. Players really have 10, 15 years in their professional career, right? Up to about mid 30s. Or for Megan Rapinoe, you go on forever and you live in infamy. But that's what a horrible transition, because I was like, speaking of injuries, I kind of want to get your brain on it because it was so fascinating to hear you live breaking down this role, right? From the final, Hal Hershfelt, right? Her injury and the substitution, and everyone has a different opinion in it but from a tactical point, you were hitting it, I thought, on the head during the live game. I love learning from you when you're commentating, but like her injury changed the dynamic, but like your thoughts on that tactical adjustment and like what you would have done if you put the coach's hat back on.
Well, I just think I understand with Hal, the game that she was having. I thought she was really, really good in the game leading up to that. Covered a lot of ground, put in some huge tackles, and obviously bring something different to the Washington Spirit in the midfield. But I also just think, so on one side, I understand waiting to see if she can come back. But on the other side, these are little things that you don't know. And I'm not a coach, but I would imagine as like even just the entirety of the team, you have to be prepared for. So I just felt like that it went on too long. She was down for a considerable amount of time on the field, and then they took her off the side and were testing and testing and testing. And when it's 0-0 in a championship game, Washington had in that second half the majority of the momentum. And when Hal went off and they kept her off for what I felt like was, and I would like to see actually the timestamp, but a significant amount of time waiting. And it didn't even like they had Abiodun, who was the most likely sub, given the patterns and the minutes she's played and the importance that she has been as a substitute for them in the midfield, is she was just still warming up with the rest of the reserves for the Washington Spirit. It's not like they even had her readily available to say, hey, if Hal isn't going, you're making this.
Here's your slip. Here's your sub slip.
So it was like they were just waiting and waiting to bring Hal back on. And I felt like it was just too long, and it shifted the momentum in the favor of Gotham. That was the difference in that game. And then if you look at the goal, great work by Bernina, wonderful pass, not taking anything away, and obviously world-class goal. But I don't know if that ball is getting through if you don't see that false step or that gingerly step from Hal Hershfeld, because you could see she wasn't confident to push off on it.
Yeah, that it pushed off when she receded backwards. I was like, ooh, not good. And
that ball gets through and allows for Rose to come onto it. So I don't know. I feel like it's all those things that, yes, for us, it's easier. We're off, right? We're not in the heat of the moment. But I think you have to be able to make decisions and say, nope, this isn't going to be great. It's just the way that the game is. And the amount of time that she was off just allowed for Gotham to regroup and shift the momentum and score the goal.
I think that's probably a good reminder that it doesn't matter what position you're in. If you reach the highest of high as a coach, like you're always learning and growing. Just ideally,
For sure.
not during a championship game. It's not where you want to learn your lesson when all eyes are watching. I know this one's going to be a little bit of a short from a Thanksgiving one, so we'll kind of hit a little bit here on Major League Soccer as in they're in their playoffs. Actually, my family watched the Inter Miami game because my cousins, my brother-in-law is a huge Inter Miami game, but dear Lord, what a spanking on that game. Like shout out to FC Cincinnati though, because I was traveling back from the championship game and I saw people in the Centurion Lounge wearing FC Cincinnati gear in Atlanta airport. And I was like, all right, that's cool. Wasn't expecting that, but it's going to be a tight one. It's going to be a good one. What are some things that you're looking forward to in these next semifinals?
Oh yeah, goodness. Going to be, I mean, the Vancouver, San Diego. Yeah. In fact that San Diego is an expansion team and they're hosting, that's going to be electric. I mean, sorry, Messi.
Yes, he's in form.
Looking forward to him continuing his goal scoring streak and what they're going to be all about. So I'll be very curious to see what that game looks like, especially from a New York City standpoint, given that they did really well with Alonso Martinez being gone, but how they adjust now against a Miami team that's like has something to prove, it feels like.
Yeah, this will be something. I do love that San Diego can reach it, right? We talk about like other sports and probably, sorry for everyone pulling it back to women's sports, but the Valkyrie with the WNBA going, right? Like how far they go into that first year. That really gives people that motivation and that place to be able to say like, you know, your expansion team, you're not going to gradually build, like you can come out of the woodwork for that. But I'm with you. Looking forward to those games myself as well. Seeing how that goes and that momentum. And speaking of DP, I don't know whether it's true or not. I'm going to caveat that. But if Messi makes $20 million, I bet you he gets more than enough impressions on TV, especially in the form that he's in. Scoring 1, assisting 3, and easily could have had like 2 more assists and another goal himself. So looking forward to that. And the quick and last wrap up, because it's exciting. I'm trying to get there myself on November 28th over to Orlando to watch the U.S. women's national team as Emma Hayes closes out year 1 as head coach of the U.S. women's national team, or I guess year 1.5. But her first full year with the national team. It's cool to see her. I was able to connect with her again at the championship game, but for her to be able to build out these systems, see the excitement. We've seen some stuff on social media. What are your thoughts on that? Because I thought on CBS she made a good point. She's going to have a lot of players happy and a lot of players not happy coming into camp off of the heels of the championship game. How do you feel like this camp's going to go? What do you think are some of her priorities for this camp as they close out?
Yeah, I mean, I think to go from a championship game straight into a camp is always challenging at the end of the season, but it's not the first time that's happened. But one of the things I think that we've seen consistently from Emma is just prioritizing players maybe that had a little bit more rest, giving them a run through, making them that priority, at least in that first game. Mm-hmm. So then it's like a more of a calmer run up for the players that did either just win the championship or were in that championship game. But I think it'll be no different. I think they'll just continue to build, continue to talk about the partnerships and the cohesion, especially in the final third. I think the Italy games are going to be fun, though. I mean, for how good their run was in the Euros to seeing them now, it's going to be a fun test. They played a hybrid like 3-5-2 or 3-4-3-ish formation in the Euros, Italy did. So I think it's going to be just fun to see a tactical matchup, to see how we adjust and what that looks like against a team that should have a lot of confidence coming into this 2-game series.
Yeah. So final shout outs is, catch those games November 28th, playing in Orlando, December 1st, Fort Lauderdale. I personally, selfishly, am very excited that all of these U.S. national team men and women games this month have been in Florida. We're going back to the roots where you bring in these games into the beautiful, hot, sunny Florida. It's like 75 degrees. Don't ask why I'm wearing a sweater today. I am. It just has a bunch of holes. So hopefully see some of you guys there. If I go, please give a shout out to that. And Lori, last but not least, what I know we have a show next week, so heads up, we have one more show next week. But any final thoughts as we go into this like holiday season?
I just feel like enjoy the holiday season, get as much rest as possible, because buckle up. The next like 3 years are going to be wild. You got the Men's World Cup, you got the Women's World Cup, you got the 2028 LA Olympics. I mean, it's just like there's going to be so much soccer. So here we go, everybody.
Buckle up, buttercups. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you guys and your loved ones. Eat lots of turkey, eat lots of Thanksgiving meals. To my Spanish friends who made arroz con andules, that's you, Elise, yesterday at the potluck. Continue to celebrate their traditions and love people. But yeah, happy Thanksgiving, everyone, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you for watching the Soccerish podcast. You can follow us on YouTube, subscribe, and as well, follow us on social media. And we'll see you next week.